Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more NCL Pickems. We are on to week four's Pickems now, I believe. So we just finished off week two, and while I did have a few misses, and we're still waiting on one game to be played, I've done pretty decently this week as well. I don't think it's looking as good as last week, but still pretty decent. Um, Still no leaderboard or anything yet, so um, my week three is not looking as good so far. With a few games played, I've only got one correct out of five so far, but that's all right. And I haven't made any picks in week four yet, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So a little bit different. I've got them set up like in my prep doc that I use the uh, really useful what is it, King Whackers prep doc, previously Ballhawks, something like that. But anyway, we got Bridgeport Booloos versus Swaglicious Vaporeon as the first matchup. Starting off with Ampharos this week, right at the top. And just looking at these teams, like obviously, Bulu should hopefully be pretty decent into a rain team. Obviously needs to watch out for those ice moves, poison moves. Um, so like Overquill could be problematic, and pretty much everything gets some kind of ice coverage, I'm sure. Besides maybe like Tapu Koko. And there's obviously going to be a terrain war between the Bulu and the Koko there as well, if they both come. Um, and Politoed will hurt Blaziken when the rain is out. But I mean, Blaziken still obviously has the speed boost, which is eventually going to be able to outspeed the Mega Swampert in the rain, be able to outspeed the Bascullegion Legion in the rain. So if Sark can get the chip enough, he can definitely break through. Iron Crown. Does that look good in this matchup? I don't really know. Mega Pidgeot. Uh, doesn't necessarily look super great in this matchup. And Double Dark to help deal with Spectria as well is kind of nice. Uh, Look, actually, I honestly reckon that Swagalicious Vaporeon, like, I like the matchup for the Swagalicious here, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain there and pick that. Uh, there we go. You can see my votes. The next matchup being Voracious Vileplumes versus the Springfield Starmies. Which is this one, I guess. Wait, did I think I scrolled down too far? No, the next one is, there we go, Midnight Carkol Riders versus Super Zeb Strikers. All right. Zamazenta Crown, Raging Bolt, Samurai Hisui. I mean, I guess I can go back here and look at things like their speeds and stuff like that. But even then, like Swagalicious Vaporeons, I feel like have uh, Bundle and Tapu Koko, which outspeeds or ties with the whole team. And then well, I guess everything else is a bit slower, but like you've also obviously got the weather control for the speed. I'm not going to change my vote, but anyway, Midnight Carkle Riders versus Super Zeb Strikers, Samazenta, Raging Bolt, Serendipity, that's Dialga, Mega Alexam, Dragonite, Zeb Striker. Um, Looking at these two teams, just power alone, I think Midnight Carkle Riders seem pretty strong. Um, but obviously, like you can't sneeze at Dialga, you can't sneeze at Dragonite in this meta. Good defenses with like Alamamola, I guess. Um, Mega Alexam is Zuma, so is Talonflame. Just depends if things like the Samazenta is going to be able to break through like the Talonflame and Alamamola and stuff like that. Uh, Raging Bolt is a heavy hitter for sure. Um, I think I'm going to agree with the majority here and go with Zeb, Super Zeb Strikers. Because, I don't know, Zeb's been playing pretty well. His team does look scary. I don't think I would necessarily want to face it. Um, but then again, I don't think I would really want to face Horn's team either, Midnight Carkle Riders. But yeah, so I'm just going to go with the Zeb Strikers and we'll see where that leads us. And we got Ladner Lantern versus New Jersey Devil Plumes. Next, Ian has not won me any points this season so far, so at least I don't think. But I do kind of like his team into the New Jersey Devil Plumes here. Endless has won me more points than Ian has this season, but with Megalopunny into King Gambit, like even Fluttermane's not um a proper switch in, or like it's deaf because it's just weak. And obviously Megalopunny has Scrappy, so it's going to be hitting with its normal and fighting type moves anyway. Um, Mega Blaziken could be a problem for sure, but he's got a lot of priority to help deal with that. Fake outs from Megalopunny's quick attacks, Aquajets from Crawdaunt, um, Ice Shard from Mamoswine's not necessarily going to help, but it could pick it off when it's if it takes it too many hits or something like that. Thunderous could get a T-Wave or something on the Mega Blaziken. Um, Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Dradagon is gonna potentially be something that if I was looking at this matchup, I would think about bringing. Um, Look, I've got to have faith in Ian sometimes, so I'll give him my pick and point, and hopefully he gives me a point back. Gets me a win. If not, then I might have to consider not picking Ian ever again. All right, now we're up to the Voracious Farplume versus the Springfield Starmies. Landorus versus Zamazenta, Conkeldor, Terrapagos, Jellicent. Jellicent looks like it could struggle versus like the Goldengo, Hooper. File plume though. File plume is cool. Iron moth. Gougy. Bliscore. Superior. Bombi webs. I don't know. I feel like I just gotta. I feel like I just gotta go with. I gotta go with Johan. Hopefully he can get me a point this week. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna pick Johan, I reckon, just because. Because I know that it makes Ian angry. Um, Not really, but you know. Seattle Kraken versus Tentacle Pirates. Giratina Tapu Fini. This is a weird team, yeah. Versus Greninja, Ogerpon, Petchurant, Altaria. Um, Petchurant is surprisingly hard to take down. Um, Looks like it could be pretty decent into Giratina Tapu Fini. Um, Obviously, when Tapu Fini's out with the misty terrain, it's not going to get its poisons and stuff, but it can still poison things like the Giratina, the Swallow, because obviously they are not on the ground. Um, Ogerpon kind of hits pretty hard into like the Swallow, Rhyperior, Scolipede, even like Pheromos is not going to enjoy it. Ampharos. I reckon I'm gonna go with the Tentacruel Pirates here. Seem to be picking a few against what other people believe, but I don't know. I just like the team a little bit more than Zane's. Broken. We're up to Los Santos Septars versus Peterborough Palpitoads. Pokemon, Moltres, Crocodile, Meloetta, Jolteon, Megalati, Melmetal. We got an Ogerpon matchup here. I think base Ogerpon has the matchup here because obviously grass type moves will be neutral against this, whereas Ogerpon will resist. And this Ogerpon, I think, can Terra, whereas Ogerpon Wellspring is not allowed to Terra. Clodsire is going to be pretty decent into an Ogerpon Wellspring as well. I think, like, obviously it's still going to be neutral to the grass hits, but it'll be able to absorb the water hits, or could be unaware for things like Calm Mind. Well, I mean, because it's poison type, it's probably not going to be too good against Latios, sorry, or Meloetta Calm Minds, but I don't know, maybe a Calm Mind Aromatisse or something like that. Um, Also, depending on what Terra, I'm not sure off the top of my head what Terra the Clodsire has. Taurus Paldea has all three of the varieties that it can be, which is nice for some variety. Metagross is pretty cool. Megalodias as well over here. Iron Valiant. I mean, Melmetal can hit super freaking hard as well. Um, Crocodile. Articuno and Megalodios. But then Crocodile can still dark move the Latias. Um, Articuno is a decent bring here because I don't see no rock type, which is its obviously its biggest weakness. Jolteon. Moltres is also really tough to deal with. It could be a good switch in for the Ogerpon, etc. This is one of those matchups that's really hard for me to call, but I reckon I'm going to go with Peterborough Palpitoads here. Yeah, as the as the majority is agreeing upon, I guess. Got Brooklyn Blastoises versus Toronto Tusks. Palafin Skeledirge. Okie dokie, Mudsdale Ditto. Ditto is nice to have when you see a gouging fire. Great Tusk. Adias. Miascarada. But obviously, gouging fire could still be super strong, though. With, I guess, the biggest threats being like all physical. Mudsdale's a pretty decent bring. Obviously, things like Grass Knot, Thundy, I believe that gets Grass Knot. Is that right? Florges, Hydrapple. Hydrapple. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know enough about what Hydrapple does, but it could be something good to help deal with Mudsdale. I think Honey can take down the Toronto Tusks here. I reckon he can. Skeledirge is nice into any setup that wants to come along. I'm assuming, I believe that still potentially negates the photosynthesis boosts that Great Tusk Engaging Fire will get. I'm not sure off the top of my head on that though, but it would make sense to me if that is affected. I'm gonna go with Ani here, I think. Brooklyn Blastoises. Let's do that. Regieleki is super fast, geez. 200 speed. And then the last Ampharos matchup, we've got Singapore Sobble Squad versus Osaka Absol. Dragapult, Glamora, Amogus. Bacteria, Comfy Sneasel, Scizor, Slowking, Darkrai, Vax, Aquaball, Salazzle. Once again, this is a pretty hard matchup to determine, I think, but I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Osaka Absol here and Chibi. But Dragapult can put in a lot of work. I guess I should kind of look at the type weaknesses and stuff as well, right? Ground, rock, and fairy weaknesses. Whereas Hamish only has the rock weakness and no rock type to worry about, whereas Chibi does have the ground type, the rock type, and the fairy type. So it is comfy, but yeah, setup comfy kind of gets stopped by Salazzle, but other than that, I guess Iron Treads as well. Although I guess like a Draining Kiss, Calm Mind, Giga Drain, that could be interesting into that would still get stopped by Salazzle for sure, but I mean then you've got like Rotom Heat as a switch in for Salazzle. Glamora as a switch in for Salazzle. Actually, you know what? I'm not actually going to pick Chibi here. I reckon Amish has a good chance of taking her down, so I'm going to go with him. And yeah, so that is the Ampharos Pickems matchups, and that will have us moving over to Flaaffy next. First matchup is the Hamilton Torracats versus the Kent State Golden Flash Cannons. And oh, that's a 11 to 11 vote. So mine will be the determining to which comes the majority. Which I mean, obviously, Giratina is a really good switch into Ursaluna Blood Moon, I think, unless there's something I'm missing. But being immune to both of Ursaluna's stabs is quite nice. And then, like, the only things. What do you bring into Giratina? Annihilate, I guess. Um, and I guess, like, you could bring Dashbin or Cryogonal. And try and like get a toxic on it or something like that and wear it down that way. But like if Giratina Origin wasn't there, I think it looks pretty good for Gareth overall. Still things like Nihilego are able to stop any setup. Um mm, I mean, if Gareth can figure out how to deal with Giratina, then I feel like he's got a decent matchup. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one for Gareth to overcome, I think. And I think because of that, I'm going to have to vote for the Kent State Golden Flash Cannons. Nothing, no offense, Gareth, but yeah, I don't know. Going to be a tough one. That's a very tough to call game, I think. Next, Dublin Drapions versus Texas Toad Schools. Toad Schools, I should say. Sorry. Dragapult Skarmory, Toad Scroll. Vaporeon, Mega Metacham, okay. First Dialga, Terrapagos, Clodsire, Cereledge, Ogerpon, Primarina. Like, while I don't hate Dublin Drapion's team here, I think just looking at the matchup wise, I like the Texas Toad Schools team a little bit more here. And I think, yeah, the Dublin Drapions are definitely going to have a bit of trouble dealing with all these threats. Terrapago's pretty decent into the Dragapult, I think. Which is the biggest threat for the team. Um, so yeah, in that case, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Texas Toad Schools here. As is the majority, so at least I won't lose many points compared to other people. If I am wrong. Seattle Scissors versus New York Meloetas. Mega Gallade is always a threat. Arcanine, Zoroark, Hisui, Samurott Hisui, Diancie, Aura Earthworm, Flygon, Crobat, Frostmoth, interesting. versus Pokemon Hearthflame. I mean, Arcanine's a pretty decent switch into that. Mamoswine. I mean, Orthworm's a pretty decent switch into that. Cleavor. I guess Flygon is a pretty decent switch into that. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Mega Beedrill has the speed on everything else, just faster than the Zeraora there. But obviously, Crobat can switch in on Mega Beedrill. I feel like at least a few times. I don't feel like this is an impossible matchup for Magic to win out in, and he's been doing pretty well this season so far. I don't like to make these predictions off of the players so much as their teams, but sometimes you do need to take the players a little bit into consideration as well. Not that I don't know how the Seattle Sizzlers have been going this season, but look, I'm going to back Magic here, and he can hopefully get me another Pickems point. So let's do that. Santa Fe Superiors. Santa Fe Superiors versus Anchorage Arcanines. Genesect, Raging Bolt. Another rain team here versus a hard hitting team, but Petulant isn't necessarily going to be super useful against like the Mega Swampert and stuff, but it still can be quite hard to deal with. Sandy Sharks. This is going to be a tough one for the Anchorage Arcanines to like a tough team for them to prep around. I don't think it's going to be an impossible matchup for them either, but like I mean, Gouging Fire is always tough to deal with. Chien Power is always struggle. It's always a struggle to find a switch in for that. So that could be enough threat just to carry the Anchorage Arcanines through the game. I mean, Sandy Shocks isn't a terrible Pokemon to have into a rain team when there's only two Pokemon outside of rain that are faster, depending on spreads and stuff, etc. So could definitely use the Sandy Shocks to break through this rain team. And there's a lot of people that are backing the Anchorage Arcanines this week, but I reckon I'm going to take a risk here and go for the Santa Fe Superiors and hope that the rain comes out ahead. Next, we have Karaoke Crooks versus the Teacher. Fury versus Jay. And honestly, I do kind of like Beery's team into Jay's team here. Beery does bring some crazy stuff sometimes. And I mean, Jay, I know can do some cooking sometimes as well. But Mega Lopunny. I feel like Mega Lopunny just shreds through a lot of this stuff if Jay isn't careful. And Jellicent can quite easily switch into like the Tapu Fini or something like that. And not necessarily status it while the train is up, but can stall it out until the train is down and then status it potentially. I mean, obviously, you need to watch out for like the magic bounce from Mega Absol and stuff like that. But just looking at the teams, Jay's team does look strong, but then so does Beery's. Hmm. I reckon I have to go with Beery's team here, though. Let's just lock that in and hope for the best. It's definitely a tough matchup to choose. Then we've got the Indianapolis Infernapes versus the Los Angeles Nidokings up next. Got an Ogerpon on this side, Sneasler, Mega Alakazam, Bolivar, Skeledirge. I reckon this is one I don't think I need to think too hard about. I like the look of the Nidokings, Los Angeles Nidokings here more than the Indianapolis Infernapes. So let's go with that one. Then we've got New York Onyx versus the Farmington for Alligators. On a Palafin team, Gliscor, Mega Pidgeot, Bukoko, Duraldon, Incineroar. Ottermain in Sun, Slitherwing in Sun. Sun is obviously going to make Palafin a little bit weaker if the Sun can be kept up. And Crown. Gliscor is obviously going to be a bit of a problem, but we've got Kyurem here. Yeah, look, I reckon the Sun team could do okay here, so let's lock that in. Got to take a risk for some points in some places and hope that it pays off, but that's, yeah, my choice for that. Then I think this is the last Flaaffy game, which is LA Crams versus Kelowna Crocodiles. Spectria, Zygarde, Cresselia. That's a pretty nice triple threat right there, to be honest. Great task. A bit of a extra capitalization there. Dondozo is nice for any setup Zygarde, stuff like that. But if it's like a sub-toxic or something like that, that can probably help deal with Dondozo a little bit. I don't think Shade's out of the game here, but I do like the LA Crams, so I like their matchup here, so that's what I'm going to go with. Spectria can just get out of hand really quick, though King Gambit potentially can deal with that okay, since it can't Terra and Dazzling Gleam is still only going to be neutral. And it has things like Sucker Punch, etc. But yeah, that is my choice. I will go with the LA Crams. I don't think it's impossible for Shade to win or anything, and there's plenty of people that are backing him here, but yeah. Looking at the teams, I do like the Crams into the Crooks. And that brings us to the Mareep matchups now, which first up we have the Atlantic Skidoo versus Bitchware Tiff vs Hamu. And I feel like the only real threat into Hamu's team is potentially the Flutter main, which like Scizor deals with decently. I mean, Cinderace is always a problem to deal with. Piloswine can be annoying to remove, but I reckon I'm going to go with the majority here and go for Hamu. Then we've got the Hollywood Alucha versus Adelaide Overheat, which, look, my Gastrodon. I don't necessarily think I'm going to win this, but I'm going to vote for myself anyway. In the hopes that I do. I did not get my week 2 win. Haven't played my week 3 game yet. But I don't think my team is necessarily impossible to win. And I definitely had my options potential to win in my week 2 game. So I just guess I'm gonna try and outplay and see how we go. But yeah, so I've already decided I'm gonna back myself every week, no matter what happens. So that's, yeah, I'm just gonna pick myself. And then we got the Mogul Mercenaries versus the Detroit Oblivion Wings. Yes, Karada, Urshifu Rapid, Heat, Napoleon, Grunt, Mech Beetle gets knockoff. Hill Tank is decent into Pokemon because of the Sap Sipper potential, but then you've got the Thick Fat, which could be good for the Rotom Heat. Scrappy doesn't matter because there's no Ghost type to worry about. On the Detroit Oblivion Wings, by the looks. Gladius, I feel like is okay into this team. So Mega Beedrill obviously threatens it quite a bit with U-turns and knockoffs and stuff like that. I feel like Mogul Mercenary is definitely going to have to bring a Scarf out of this game to try and deal with that Mega Beedrill. Otherwise, it just pivots out on everything. So, like, I guess an Intimidate, like maybe Rocky Helmet, Gramble, or something like that, could at least chip the Mega Beedrill down if you can get Stealth Rocks up on something. Because there's not a lot of removal on either side, really, but look, I reckon Mega Beedrill is going to be annoying to deal with, and the fact that only one Mon outspeeds most of the team, and I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Detroit Oblivion Wings here. That is my pick, and we will live with it. Sabouti Squirtle Squad versus the Wise Honchcrows. No one's back in the Wise Honchcrows here. But, I mean, Rutina, Iron Boulder. I mean, Pelipper, Ichaludon. Look, yeah, once again, these teams just feel so all over the place. It could go either way. reckon I'm going to go with the Giratina team here, though, and the Sabouti Squirtle squad. So I know that Pheasantipity can be quite tough to deal with, quite annoying to deal with. Just roosts and U-turns and gets the toxic chain on stuff, etc. Um, so yeah, let's go with that. Almost to the last few matchups now. Neon Strike, Cabalions versus Vermilion City Zero's Auras. Go away, you stupid mosquito. We've got Blaziken team versus Darkrai, Tapu Fini, Mega Lopunny. Oh yeah, okay. Vermilion City Zero Auras, we have Luna, I think, swapping in to take over for someone who had to drop. Um, so a new addition. Well, they've played before and they're coming back, so welcome back. Both these teams have a lot of threats on paper, like the Blaziken, Mega Scizor, Noivern, nice special attacker. But Darkrai, Tapu Fini, Mega Lopunny, Kartana even, Haxorus even, and Zorak Hisui for some deceptions. I reckon I'm going to go with. I reckon I might go with Looney and hope for some points there. I don't hate their team, that's for sure. Tapu Fini can still potentially toxic things like the Rotom Wash that might want to come in on the Tapu Fini because obviously it's not going to be affected by the terrain. So yeah, let's go with that. We've got the LA Clodsize versus the Olympic Lairon. And I think I might even just go with Russ here. He beat me, so he can beat anyone. That's not true. Necessarily true, but do not dislike his team necessarily into this team either. Ogerpon can threaten things like the Ursaluna potentially, even like as I said in the other matchup, it probably might win versus the Wellspring because it can potentially Terror, I believe, and it resists both stab hits. Raging Bolt can be quite nice. Tianpao has to watch out for Mega Blaziken for sure. Yeah, look, I'm gonna go with Russ here. He beat me, so let's put my vote on him and see what he can do. And then we got Mandalicious Buzzers versus Atlanta Overlords as our second to last matchup to pick for here. Moltres into King Gambit. Moltres getting the flame bodies on things like the King Gambit, potentially the Palafin, even though you don't necessarily want Moltres taking those water hits, but Alamamola is probably a decent switch into Palafin, I think. Though I think it does get like grass moves and stuff, right? Mega Venusaur though. Bronzong. I don't think this is impossible to overcome for Austin either in the Atlanta Overlords. But I'm going to go with the Mandalicious Buzzers here because I do think they have a little bit of the favorite. They're a little bit of a favorite here in this matchup, I feel, just looking at the teams. Sandy Shocks is tough to deal with. But best of luck to Austin and prove me wrong, I guess. And then we've got the last matchup. Here's Chicago Bears versus the LaGrange Greninjas. And looking at these two teams, I mean, Mortal is favoured. The LaGrange Greninjas definitely are the favourites in the picks, but don't mind the Chicago Bears team. Yeah, but I do still think that the LaGrange Greninjas might have the matchup, so that's what I'll go with. Yeah, so that's going to be my pick'ems for week 4. So I guess we'll see how we go and what our points are looking like when they start getting all added up. Once some of the weeks still get actually completed, because I think Ian's just waiting for like the missing matches to be played before he starts counting, because that would just make sense. So yeah, we'll see how we go when that starts happening. And thank you for watching, guys, and best of luck to everyone in week 4. Except my opponent, whoever that was. Peace.